As an avid hiker and a dog trainer, one of my favorite things to do is go hiking with my dog Nira. In the last decade, we've gone on hundreds of hikes together, including some overnight trips and many intense, full-day hikes up steep mountains. Hiking with your dog is fantastic exercise, it's a great bonding experience, and it's really fun. However, taking your dog for a hike is much different than going on a simple neighborhood walk. If you want hiking with your dog to be both fun and safe, it requires a bit more thought and a bit more planning. We're down in the mountains for a couple days to celebrate Nira's 11th birthday, so I thought it'd be fun to bring you along on some of our current and past adventures while I share some of my best tips for hiking with your dog. Tip 1 is to stay flexible about your plans. So this video was only going to have 11 tips, but now it has 12 because this is a really good reminder that always be willing to change your plans if something comes up. This trail that we wanted to take is closed due to icefall risk, so we're going to take a slightly more boring version up to the lake instead. It's smart to make a plan for what hike you want to do and to make sure that you know the route, but it's important to stay mentally flexible when plans do need to change. As the saying goes, you can make your best plans, but sometimes the world will just laugh. I've had to change hiking plans due to heavy rain and extreme heat, I've had to run off of summits because of thunder and lightning, and I've had to cancel numerous hikes due to trail closures for things such as grizzly bears or now ice risk. So yes, do plan your hike, but still try to make the most of the day when that plan needs to change. Tip 2 is to be radically honest about you and your dog's current fitness level and choose the hike based on whoever's in worse condition. So normally, rather than doing a hike like this one, we would be going up something like Hulling, which we've done numerous times. This year's a bit different. Nira had surgery in the winter, so she's still working on her conditioning. I have a few micro tears in my rotator cuff, so carrying a backpack all day would pretty much break me. And then we also have a 9-month-old baby along with us this year. So rather than staying home and doing nothing, we're just getting out and doing some easier hikes that we can all still safely enjoy. If you're typically used to a 30-minute neighborhood walk with your dog, I would not suggest starting with a hike like that one. Instead, start with something like this. It's still getting out in nature, having a great time with your dog. If you set reasonable hiking goals based on both of your fitness levels, you're going to have a much more enjoyable time with a lot less risk. This video isn't sponsored, but I personally use the free AllTrails app to check out details about a hike, including distance and elevation gain. AllTrails is a great place to start looking and planning your hike. Tip 3 is to pick up your dog's poop. Don't be like this person or like that person. If you bring your dog hiking, it's a requirement that you clean up after your pet. If you don't want to carry poop the whole time, that's 100% fair. I don't want to either, which is why I bring the poop caddy along with me. Somewhat hilariously, I got really shy about being filmed picking up poop, and I seemingly forgot how to properly tie a poop bag without trapping tons of air. When tied properly, I can fit 3 of Nira's poops in this caddy, and once it's closed, it blocks the smell. I highly recommend using some sort of caddy that clips to the outside of your bag to carry your dog poop. Dog waste is not a natural part of the ecosystem. It can damage plant life, it can cause water pollution, and it can transmit disease. It's also just really gross and disrespectful to other hikers that are trying to enjoy the trail. I do understand all too well that garbage cans are often few and far between on hikes, and it's not enjoyable to carry a bag of dog poop with you all day. I also personally do not want to put it in my backpack where my extra clothes or snacks are. An easy solution is to bring a poop caddy that clips to the outside of your backpack. I've linked all of the gear that I personally use on my favorites page in the video description and the pinned comment. Tip 4 is to make sure that you bring any important safety gear and that you know how to use it. When you're hiking with your dog, you're likely going to be far from your vehicle and possibly from access to help, so it's important to be self-sufficient when you're out on the trail. One of the things that I bring on every hike is this doggy carrier in case my dog gets injured and I need to carry her out, which has happened once. I've also used this carrier on numerous occasions where there's a ladder or a section of a hike that wouldn't be possible for Nira to do safely. Again, I've linked everything that I personally use on my favorites page in the video description. Another concern in the areas that I hike is bears, especially grizzly bears, so I make sure that I always have bear spray with me and that's clipped to the outside of my bag so that it's easy to access in an emergency. Also make sure that the pin is in it while you're hiking so that you don't accidentally spray yourself in the face. Might not finish the hike because
pepper sprayed us.
he got it worse than I did. I got it in the nose, he got it in the eye. I might not finish the hike because Lars managed to pepper spray all 3 of us in the face. He got it the worst, but definitely burns. I enjoy every opportunity that I get to remind my husband about the time that he sprayed himself, me, and the dog with bear spray. I would suggest doing a quick Google search about hazards in your area, things like ticks, weather, anything else that you might need to be prepared for. While we were talking about wildlife, Nira kept staring behind me, and I started wondering, maybe a bear, but it's just a duck. And on that note, please respect park rules. If they ask you to keep your dog on leash, please do so for the safety and enjoyment of your dog, other hikers, and wildlife. We're lucky to have hiking trails like this to enjoy with our dog at all, so please don't be that person that contributes to dogs getting banned completely by disrespecting those simple rules.
You promise to follow the rules and stay out of trouble?
Okay. I have been to this area numerous times, but I usually come here to go rock climbing, so it's sort of strange being here just to hike. This is another good reminder to consider your current physical abilities when planning your day, not just what was previously possible for you or your dog. Tip 6 is to respect wildlife. These areas that you're hiking in are the animals' homes and you're just a visitor. If you are in an area that does allow dogs to be off leash, still make sure that you honestly ask yourself if your dog is trained well enough for that. Any animal chasing can be really dangerous for the wildlife, for you, and for your dog. When Nira was younger, she was an absolute menace with animals. She would chase anything. Given the chance, I 100% know that she would have chased a rodent off a cliff. I knew that I wanted to hike a lot with Nira, and I also knew that I wanted to be able to let her off leash where it was allowed, so animal chasing was a behavior that I put a lot of effort into training. I wanted Nira to be able to watch animals without chasing them.
Yes!
I created a guide and a tutorial video showing exactly how I achieved that with her with rewards-based training. You can find out more about that in the video description or drop the words animal chasing in the video comments and I'll send you some links to help you out. Tip 7 is if you get a snack, they get a snack. Them's the rules. Tip 8 is to try to address any training issues beforehand. Due to the extra stimulation on hikes and the extended amount of time that you'll be walking, any training deficits that bother you on regular walks will likely be much worse on hikes. At an absolute minimum, I suggest training these 3 skills in particular. First, the leave it cue, which means don't go after that thing that you're interested in. I use this cue for gross sidewalk snacks, animals that Nira might want to chase, and much more. Second, make sure that your dog knows drop it, which means release that thing from your mouth. You never know what your dog is going to find on a hike, so these 2 cues are really important for safety. I've linked tutorials for how I personally train both skills in the video description and the pinned comment. I also strongly encourage you to teach your dog solid leash skills because the fastest way to ruin a hike is to have your arm dragged off the whole time. I've linked my free leash training guide below if you want to check that out. Tip 9 is don't make your dog heel. As a dog trainer, I'm typically an advocate for training heel because I think it's an important skill for busy sidewalks, for times that you need to get somewhere quickly, and just for building a solid reinforcement history. However, hiking isn't the time to make your dog heel. Instead, I encourage loose leash walking, which means go anywhere on the leash as long as there isn't leash tension. Our main sense as humans is sight, but dogs is smell. Imagine having somebody cover your eyes when you're trying to enjoy a nice view. You would be very frustrated. Since dogs' main sense is smell, keeping them in a strict heel and not letting them sniff on hikes is basically like somebody covering your eyes. Let your dog sniff and be a dog so that they can enjoy the hike too. Tip 10 is to start early and summit by noon. I'm very strict about this rule, especially on hot days or harder hikes. I learned the summit by noon rule from mountaineering, mostly because the snowpack becomes less and less stable as the day progresses, and that heavily increases the danger. However, I also started applying it to hiking with my dog. The rule is simple. I always try to summit or reach the halfway point of a hike by noon at the absolute latest, preferably by 10 a.m. Depending on how long of hike we're doing that day, this sometimes means that we need to start very early in the morning. I'm strict about this because I want to make sure that we're halfway through the distance or that we finished most of the incline walking before the worst heat of the day hits. Dogs are very susceptible to heat stroke, which can be very dangerous or even fatal. Unlike humans, dogs don't sweat efficiently. They mainly cool themselves through their paw pads or by panting, but that's not always enough when it's really hot outside. Make sure that you know and that you're watching for the more early and serious signs of heat stroke in dogs. However, you can avoid a lot of the heat stroke risk by following the summit by noon rule. You can also lower the risk by taking breaks in the shade, by letting your dog go in streams or lakes to cool off, and by tip 11, which is bring enough water for the both of you and a way to deliver it. I've had people stop and ask me if their dog can have some of my dog's water on hikes because they didn't pack any for their dog. It is so dangerous to expect your dog to exercise for hours, especially in the hotter months, without access to water. I personally use and recommend this dog water bottle that has a built-in cup for Nira to drink from. I have dropped it numerous times and it's never shattered. My favorite feature though is that it recollects the water that she doesn't finish with the press of a button so that I'm not wasting any and therefore having to carry more. It's linked on my favorite items page below.
We have lots of cups and cups. Yeah.
You know that it's not a very intense hike if I'm leaving my hair down. Yeah? You wanna go on a hike? And lastly, tip 12 is just have fun. We almost didn't come on this hiking trip because we knew that we couldn't do our typical hikes, but I'm so glad that we did. Hiking with your dog is really fun, regardless of which hike you do. Simply pick a hike that interests you and that's within your current abilities, hike at whatever pace you feel comfortable at, stop to take lots of photos and snack breaks, and feel proud that your dog is getting such an epic experience with you. These memories truly last forever and it's so worth the effort. Please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and add any extra tips that you have for hiking with your dog. Happy hiking! I'll see you in the next video. So normally, rather than doing a hike like this one, we would be going up something like Haling, which we have... A bug just ran into my eyeball. Okay, it's a bit different. Nira had TPLO surgery in the winter, so she's still working. I have all of the items that I personally use linked on my favorites page in the video description.